Hi everybody, this is Kristen Skira, Reading Specialist, and I'm here to talk to you today about some of the resources that you can find for the Fountas and Pinnell programs, specifically for LLI and the BASS products. So I went ahead and went to the resources webpage here for Fountas and Pinnell, and you can just type in resources.fountasandpinnell.com, and it'll bring you to this login page. When you log in, one of the things that I suggest is that your school creates an email account specific to your school, not necessarily specific to a particular teacher. We went ahead and made a Gmail account for ours. You can see Seneca Ridge LLI at gmail.com. And that way, this username and password can be shared with all of the teachers using the programs. And as staff members change over the years, the login information can remain with the school and get passed along to the new staff members, instead of having to re-find and re-plug in all of the product codes for new teachers. I also suggest giving this information to your technology support. For me, it's my instructional facilitator for technology as a backup just in case. I will hit login, and you can see that the first thing it brings you to is a list of your products. I have access to the BASS2, the benchmark assessment system, and I have access to all of the LLI kits that our school has purchased. We have the blue, red, gold, purple, and teal. If you are coming in for the first time and you need to register your product, you're going to come up here to where it says Add New Product, and you have to type in your product code. It does give you a little hint as to where you find them. Through my experience, each of the different leveled kits has their code in a slightly different place. So you might find it in the technology packet, which is a small pamphlet inside of a packet, usually plastic wrapped. When you open that up, some of the codes are actually on the cardboard pamphlet that you unfold. Some are actually in a little paper booklet inside. Toward the end of the booklet, you might find the code in there. Others are inside the system guide cover, and you might actually have to do a little scratch off in order to find the code revealed to you. But once you type that in here, you'll submit, and it will add your products right here on your main page. The materials that you have access to, let's start with the benchmark assessment system. When you first click in, you're going to find your recording forms, which are the things that you need most often. And the recording forms here go from level L all the way down to Z. And they are listed here by fiction and nonfiction. When you go to print these, and I do suggest going through and printing a copy of each and just sticking them in the file box so that as you need to pull out a test on the fly, you've got a recording form there ready to go. I don't feel like it's necessary to print off multiple copies of each, but that is truly your decision. As you go to look at these and to print them, you have a couple of choices in printing. You can click on the form and it brings it up as a separate PDF. And you can then choose, let me get this out of the way here. You can choose to download it so that you have your own copy on your computer so that you can access it when you're offline, or you can just print one straight so that you have a hard copy. This one, you can see you've got your running record, goes into your fluency and comprehension scores, and then it finishes up with the writing about reading. Get back up to the top here. When you decide to print these off, you can print them off one by using this PDF, or, I'm going to go back here, all of these do have a little printer icon. And when you click on that, you can see it adds it to your print queue down here. It's almost like a shopping cart for everything that you've decided to print. And you actually can go back, pick something else to print. And I'll just grab the nonfiction recording form here. And you can see that I now have two things sitting here waiting to print. My warning about using that, though, is when you hit print, it brings up everything that you've decided to print all in one PDF. And so you can see here, I've got the fiction recording form, and as I scroll down past page 7, now page 8 is the beginning of the nonfiction recording form. And if I print this, especially if I print this two-sided, those two recording forms are going to be joined where page 7 meets page 8. And I don't want that. I want to be able to use one or the other in at separate times. So do be careful using that little printer icon, because it's going to bring everything that you choose up as one PDF. It can be very handy if you're trying to do things quickly or if you're trying to do things one-sided. But for recording forms, things that are a little bit longer that I know I want to do two-sided, I just click on them separately and then print them off individually, like so. Okay, let me get back here. The other things that are available to you for the BAS are some summary forms. The assessment summary is here. That's a great one for using for individual students because you list all of the titles that you've tested them with, you list out all of their scores, and you can easily see where their independent instructional and placement levels are. So that's a good kind of cover page for all of the testing that you do with students. There are some examples here in case you wanted to see those. If you have a large class that you are testing and trying to figure out groups, this is a nice form, this class summary form, because you can list all of your students and their levels so that you can easily see kind of what you want to do with their groupings. The last one I wanted to show you here is the quarterly assessment summary. This one might be nice to look at each student across 1 year. So you're looking at what are their scores for each quarter, and you can easily see what their growth has been across the quarter. All right, back to my products. Sorry. In the optional assessments, this is where you can find online clean copies of all of the assessments that are in that assessment guide inside of your kit, such as the Where to Start Word test with all of your word forms, your word list, all of your phonics and word analysis assessments, with your grade word features list. I'm just going to skim down here really quickly. Your vocabulary assessments, vocabulary and context. Once again, basically everything that is in your assessment booklet inside of your kit. Okay, but I like being able to copy them off of the website rather than with the book on the copier. The copies are just cleaner. Under resources, you have some case studies where you can look at what's going on for example students. You also have your coding and scoring at a glance sheet, which I know is very beneficial for people who are just starting off with doing running records or who need a reminder about how to code individual things and whether those codes count as errors or not as you're doing your scoring. So your coding and scoring at a glance is here in your resources. You'll also find that in each of the colored guides in the LLI information as well. You have lots of parent letters for explaining what this assessment is. Those can be very helpful, especially if you're dealing with child studies or IEPs and you're using some of the BAS information for those. Finally, you have some videos here. And these are very beneficial when you're first starting out or if you're training others in how to use the system. You have overviews where it really takes you through, here are the parts of this. Here's how you do the assessment. Here's your online resources. Your assessment procedures takes you through preparing for it, giving the assessment, scoring it, and then what is up with all of those optional assessments and when should I use those. The tutorials can be very helpful when you're looking for specific help. For example, I don't know what to do with repetitions. I need a little extra practice with that, or with omissions and insertions, maybe with scoring or looking at strategic actions. You've got lots of practice here. Down here, you've got specific books with specific students, and you can choose to view those either on their own, where you're just watching the teacher and student together, or you're watching the teacher and student together with additional commentary on what's going on. With those, you can go up here to the printable resources for the videos and actually print these off so that you can then practice along with the video. And so those can be really helpful, because when you're first starting out with this benchmark assessment system, or if you've never done running records before, it does take some practice to get used to how to keep up with the students, how to code, and then how to score and analyze those assessments. Okay, so that's the BAS. In the LLI systems, you can see we have all of the colors here. They all have basically the same information. All of them are going to have the lesson resources. So they start off with general resources, some of the word cards, a lot of the game structures or graphic organizers that are used throughout the system. So those are usually in the first part under general resources. But under lesson resources is where you're going to use it most often, because this is where you can scroll down on the right-hand side here to find the specific lesson that you're working with, and they're always numbered here. If you're working toward the end of it, it'd probably be a little bit faster to just type in the lesson that you're looking for, and you can go right to it. And then you'll see that you have all of the resources that you're going to need for that lesson. Now, your recording forms are here for your running records. Do be careful though, because I know some teachers will be wanting to come in and say, okay, I'm doing lesson 54 for Wonder Ride, and I'm just going to print off everything that I need. But you don't necessarily need all of these things that are listed, because remember, when you're teaching an LLI lesson, you're deciding, am I going to focus on fluency? Do these kids need more comprehension practice? And so things like fluency reading here, this is just going to be if you've chosen that as a focus for that group. So you don't necessarily need every single activity or every single resource that's listed under each lesson. So be careful going in and just printing everything off, because you'll probably not need it all. The red and teal systems here, red and teal, do also have videos available. So you can see they have general resources, lesson resources, and videos. And those videos, once again, give you tutorials and all kinds of good stuff there. The gold and purple, let me go back here in my products. The gold and purple systems do not have videos listed because you have the technology packet with the DVDs. So you're going to have to use the DVDs for those. They have not been put online yet. But the last thing I wanted to show you was with the blue system. This one's really cool because it has your general resources, your lesson resources. It has your videos with tutorials and instructions, but it also has this tab called Game Maker, which is really cool. So along the side, so it tells you how to use it, and you're basically just clicking, dropping, and dragging. Along the side here on the left, you have all of your templates. So you have picture cards, word cards, tags, a checkerboard, just all kinds of great templates. Okay, sort sheets, you have game paths, two sides of those, letter cards, kind of a bingo type of a game, all kinds. I'm going to go ahead and pick the die template, where you actually cut and fold it into a die. And over here on the right, you can see there's all kinds of sight words or vocabulary terms listed. These are all sight words. But the cool thing that you can do is you can either take these and let me see if I can click on it here. You can drag it right over and put it somewhere on your die. Or if these words are too short or easy or inappropriate for your group, you can always create your own with, maybe you're going to use some tier 2 vocabulary words. And so I'm going to enter my own, analyze, and I click, and I can now grab that and pull it over to my die. So it's fully customizable. You can put in whatever vocabulary words you want to. It does have pictures as well if you're dealing with picture cards. Go back to letters and words. It starts off with your high frequency words, but you can go down and get all the way into syllables, synonyms, all kinds of words over here. But I do like that you're able to create your own as well. And then you can just print that out, just like anything else. So I hope that this has been helpful for you in discovering some of the great tools and resources that are available to you with the Fountas and Pinnell website. Thanks a lot.